Hey everybody, and welcome back to my channel. I know that this has been long awaited by many of you, kind of sitting around wondering where I am. I had to check a couple of things out before I made this video. I am going to be making this video before and publishing it before May 19th. There's a very specific reason for that. Many of you will probably guess it, but I will cover it in today's video. I'm going to be going over my results for the entire month of April, as well as how I'm doing in May. So these are updates all the way through my week 64 on Zepbound. Let's get started. Okay, so first of all, I do want to say that this is my new Queen of Sparkles collaboration that I did with them. This is a bourbon dress that I designed myself, and I'm also selling those. I'm going to put up a QR code right over here. There are limited quantities in this just because it was a custom collaboration that I did. I only have very, very few size small and very, very few size 2XL, which is very strange, but most of the sizes in the middle you will be good with. So the medium, large, and extra large I should have for you, but once they are gone because this was a custom order. It does have a bourbon flight on it, a mint julep. Oranges and cherries used to make old fashions. It also has different types of bourbon bottles on it as well. I'm from Kentucky. I'm a very big bourbon person. I have been ever since college because I went to University of Kentucky, and I thought that this was just a really cute, fun festival, concert, date night, bourbon trail, Derby week, Derby festivals specifically, which I have been completely consumed by for almost the past month. So now that Derby is over and I'm also about to start a new job, I'm not going to say where I'm working, who I'm working for, although many of you are going to know exactly who I'm working for and where I am working. I will just say that I'm very, very excited for it. No, I cannot say anything about the company. I cannot say anything about the company's products, and so on and so forth, unless approval given by HR and things like that. So because of that, this is likely going to be my last video before my official start date, just because I am not going to be able to say a whole lot of things in any videos from now on. And we'll leave it at that. So initially I wanted to give a update all the way through week 72 because the 72 weeks is really kind of what the longest study was for these drugs, and I wanted to compare myself to the original clinical trial of how those patients did versus myself. What I may do at my week 72 is just kind of do a quick post online of hey, here's the chart, here's where I fell, so that everybody can see that. It will be over on my post tab of my YouTube section. I've had a lot of people also asking me to do videos on ankylosing spondylitis, axial spondyloarthritis, the different medicines that I have tried, what my side effects were, what I went through. If you are interested in that, please comment down below. I'm happy to do a full video and workup of everything that I've been on for my autoimmune. None of those drugs fall into my can't talk about guidelines, so I would be able to do that video for everyone. I think I told you guys I had lost, it was close to 15 pounds after coming off of my Cosentyx. The Cosentyx had me gaining weight. I also have seen my GI specialist and also today my rheumatologist. I wanted to wait until I saw them to see if there was any kind of updates in either one of those areas. There's really not. I'm still on Linzess. I'm staying with the Linzess. I've been told that if I have any kind of constipation type issues, that it's okay for me, per my doctor, you talk to your doctor, per my doctor, to take a second Linzess during the day if I'm really struggling and having issues. That seems to be working for me very, very well. I don't do it very often, maybe once a month, if at all. I am also still on the Bimzelx. I've had phenomenal results with my Bimzelx. Here's my handy dandy blood work and my hospital tag from going to see my rheumatologist today. He had 2 patients on Bimzelx, which is an IL-17 inhibitor. It's a dual inhibitor. And he wanted to try to see how they did. I was one of those 2 patients. And now that he sees how well we're doing on it compared to the Humira, the Enbrel, the Cosentyx, other things that people have been on, of course, he is now wanting to switch more of his patients over to the Bimzelx just because of how well it is performing. So I'm glad I could be his guinea pig for that. Now we are in our, I believe, almost, not quite the 2nd week of May. We are still under the first 2 weeks of May mark, and I'm only 2 pounds down for May. However, it is also one of those times of the month where I know that my weight's going to be slightly up, so I look for about in a week to that kind of drop back down again. I would imagine that my new average will probably be right around 4 to 5 pounds lost for the month, which is exactly where my doctors want me to be. However, there has been a change since the beginning of May. I was finally bumped up to the 15 milligrams of the Zepbound. So I just started 15. Yes, it's hitting me like the truck that everyone says that it would. I'm having to also take the oral dissolving Zofran with that and really watch very small portions of food. And again, only trying to eat what I would consider more whole foods. Nothing that's really going to exacerbate that nauseousness. So we're also going to look at the end of May, my weight again, and determine, because I'm not gaining the weight with the Cosentyx, if I need to stay at the 15 or if I will then rotate back down, possibly to the 12.5. My doctor did not mean to bump me up to the 15. She moved me up to the 15 and then changed her mind immediately after she sent it and then resubmitted a 12.5 prescription. But when we picked up my prescription at Costco, they had filled the 15. So I did not know she had changed it. I brought the 15 home, and then that's when I saw that she had submitted the 12.5 instead. I messaged her kind of like, hey, what do you want me to do? Because you can't really return this. And so we decided to just trial the 15 for the 4 doses and see how it goes. If the nauseousness doesn't kind of subside a little bit, I'm positive we're going to go back down to the 12.5. And as you all know, I am a-okay with losing on a slower basis. So through my week 64 on Zepbound, I'm going to put myself over here on the clinical trial chart as well. I am just now starting the 15 milligrams. So that was at my week 62. So it took me 62 weeks before I got to the 15 milligram dosage. So that's one thing I do want to really point out when we're looking at this, because here I am on the chart for the clinical trial and where I am currently trending for my weight loss. I have lost almost like right at 74 pounds total in 64 weeks. Just a little over a pound a week, which is where averaging, right? Not in reality, but averaging, which is right where my doctors, all of my wonderful specialists from GI to rheumatology to endocrinology to GYN, even to my new internal medicine doctor said 1 to 2 pounds a week, they're okay with. Anything more than that, they want me to kind of pull back some, which I totally understand. I also agree with. It's also giving my skin a lot more time to kind of like tighten back up and come back, because I don't have like the big like kind of hanging down here. It is still getting tighter here and here, as well as my legs as well. I'm still using the GoPure. I will also put a link over here for you guys for GoPure as well. They do have the new thigh and booty scrub and cream mix that I've been using that I've been really excited for. My husband always makes fun of me because I'm constantly putting on a cream, a lotion, scrubbing, doing my fascia blasters, but I'm trying my hardest to try to get everything to like naturally kind of tighten back up, or at least not be as bad as it could be. Some other key things to note in my personal journey through these 64 weeks is I did gain muscle the entire 64 weeks. So my muscle is still up. My visceral fat as well as my subcutaneous fat are both also down which is excellent. That's exactly what you want. You want to be tracking either through some type of DEXA scan or some type of at-home scale, regardless of how accurate it is. You do really want to be tracking this in a general setting. Now, everyone always tells me that my Renfo scale that I use, that there's no way that it's accurate. I will be going in the future to be doing a full DEXA scan of my body to try to see like where this visceral fat really is located, and then talking to people about how I can kind of, zone in and target that area as much as possible, because I do still have visceral fat, which is what I want to get rid of. I'm okay with subcutaneous fat. I'm okay with a little bit of that. My rheumatologist told me today, like, wow, I can tell that you've lost a lot of weight since the last time I saw you. So yeah, I'm glad that we took you off the Cosentyx. Thanks, doc. I'm going to briefly touch on in the news today, very, very quickly. Obviously, everyone likely saw that President Trump was going to be signing a new bill or petition or whatever it is into action that is to lower American drug prices. We have obviously yet to see what this means and what it's really going to do, if anything, but it was signed this morning, so I wanted to put that in the news for this week. Of course, the biggest thing that everyone has been going back and forth on and arguing and angry and just utilizing social media for all of the hate talk that it's now there for is the compounding legal suing who's suing who's winning against who's coming out on top, who's still providing. There's just a lot of back and forth on all of that. And although the FDA and Eli Lilly did win their legal lawsuit against the compounders, as well as Novo Nordisk has as well, which means they cannot compound anymore. There, of course, are still pharmacies that are still going. I know quite a few. I'm fairly positive that even Emerge, that I have previously provided a QR code for you all in the past, still has pharmacies that are supplying to them. Personally, I think this is just a very large risk that I feel like if the money wasn't there, they definitely would not be taking said risk. However, this is just proof in the pudding, as one would say, yet again, of just how much money there really is going into these Tirzepatide and semaglutide compounds for these pharmacies, for them to be able to say, okay, no, we'll walk away. I think they really feel like by changing their titration level to a 14.8 or only going to an 8.2 or whatever it is their milligrams are, that they're going to be well under the max dosage, as well as a different titration, making it a different drug, because they're also adding things like B6, B12, L-carnitine, things like that to the mix as well. However, the legal jargon is pretty clear. An API ingredient is your active pharmaceutical ingredient, and your key active ingredient is the same. So I'm not really sure how that's going to fare for them. There was also a study published in the New England Journal of Medicine that I will link this one down below. This has been something that I've been talking about for well over a year, which is basically just the comparison of Wegovy with Zepbound or a semaglutide versus a Tirzepatide. Again, we've discussed many times that Tirzepatide in all studies has performed a lot better than a semaglutide. This study just kind of nails that and drives it home overall. Personally, I think that it will probably be leveraged with our federal government for supplying and signing a contract for the United States for Tirzepatide over semaglutide. we have no idea what it's really going to be used for, or if it will even be used for anything or looked at for anything. These are just kind of my thoughts of where this is headed. I do think that this constant kind of driving home of the we perform better, this performed better, this did better with people, we have a 94% success rate. I think that those are all things that are really kind of starting to take hold with people finally, because they've heard it so many times. However, it's also angering them in a sense, because a lot of people who are with CVS Caremark are no longer going to be able to get access to Tirzepatide as far as Zepbound goes. They are going to have to pay for that completely out of their own pocket because of the deal that Novo Nordisk struck with CVS Caremark. I'm not really sure why Eli Lilly, Pfizer, places like that that are supplying drugs direct to consumers is under scrutiny with our U.S. government. However, these kind of back-end deals between PBMs and insurance companies and manufacturing is okay. Anybody? Please tell me your thoughts down below. So that's all I'm going to go over today. I wanted to keep it very, very brief. I wanted to keep the things that I say also very, very brief so that I don't get myself in trouble. My start date is next week. And again, I am very, very excited for that. Because all of these are going to be posted and published prior to my start date, I am hoping that they will not be of issue. However, I guess we will see. If you guys randomly see all of my videos taken down, then you know why. You can always follow me over on Like to Know It at Living Large and Lily, as well as on Instagram and TikTok at Living Large and Lily. And I'm not as much on over at KetosisMom anymore, but I will tell you guys, if my whole YouTube has to get taken down, I probably will be. So thank you guys for watching today. I'm glad that I could give you a quick update. If you're watching this for the first time and you have questions about any of my other weeks or how long it took me to get to the 15 milligram and why, there is an entire series that documents my week 1 all the way through my week 64 on Zepbound and my whole weight loss, all of my side effects, what I did to go through it, and everything that went on in the news throughout the entire time. Hopefully, I'll see you guys again soon. Bye, y'all.